Good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome once again to the Lerman Chapel here at Temple Ohev Sholom in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm Rabbi Peter Kessler. I'm joined by our accompanist, Christopher Prestia, and we are here to bring Shabbat into your homes. Let's take a nice cleansing breath before we begin. Let go of the aggravation of the past week, and we'll welcome Shabbat by singing Ma Tovu on page 290. Let's turn back in our prayer books to page 121 as we light our Shabbat candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav Page 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We continue with Baruch Hu on page 146. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariva ravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvittvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et ha'kochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, Umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me, did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. The Shema is on page 152.
Baruch Shem Kedol
154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shiftecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'b'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha L'man tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Michamocha, page 158. Yam bam 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 baby bami yam ba ba bim bami yam bam 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 baby bami yam ba ba bim bam ay 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 yam ba ba bim bam ay 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 yam ba ba bim bam mi kamocha ba'alim Adonai mi kamocha nedar bakodesh no rat Page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru, page 162. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael, Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריגולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריגולם בני ובן בני Let's rise as we continue with Tefillah on page 164.
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor B'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיח ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני
Let's continue together at the top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha bir'ah na'avod. Page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha ne'el lehodot. We continue with Shalom Rav on page 178. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atah melech Adon,
Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam V'tov Be'enecha Levarech Et Amcha Yisrael Bechol Ed V'chol Sha'a Bishlomecha Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam.
Let's continue with a moment of silent reflection.
Ose shalom bimro'am, u'ya'ase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Ya'ase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'ase shalom, shalom aleinu 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 ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom. I am honored each June to be able to escort students from my basic Judaism class to the Harrisburg Mikvah in order to complete their conversion. It is a ritual that happens every year, and even with the COVID outbreak and the necessity of teaching my class on Zoom, this year was no different. Soon you will welcome these newly converted Jewish people to our congregation and help them on their journey to lead full and successful Jewish lives. So I'm often asked, where do these conversion students come from? That question has an evolving answer. When I first taught basic Judaism for people interested in converting to our faith, the world was a different place. It was 1991, 30 years ago, and the classes were in person, taught at the Fifth Avenue offices of the Union of American Hebrew Congregations. The UAHC is now called the URJ, and the beautiful building on Fifth Avenue has been converted to luxury condominiums. Even the offices went through a conversion process. 30 years ago, most, if not all of my students were converting to Judaism because they were planning to marry someone who was Jewish. It was the universal reason. My classes were filled with young couples newly in love who were about to begin their lives as married couples and decided to create a Jewish home for themselves and their future children. 5 years later, after I was ordained, the demographics changed. When I taught the classes in 1996, there were still many young couples, but there were also single people who wanted to discover a new path in their spiritual journey. In the ensuing years, more and more of our students were single men and women, perhaps disenchanted by their religion of birth or simply drawn to a Jewish way of life that spoke to them. Now that I've been a rabbi for 25 years and mark my 30th year teaching conversion classes, I see a new phenomenon that has transformed my classes. An entirely new kind of Jew by choice, one who discovered their Jewish roots through their DNA. Ancestry.com and other similar outlets have taught many unsuspecting individuals that their assumed religious or social status simply wasn't true. Thousands of people have discovered through a simple test that they really aren't totally white or totally black, totally Irish or totally Gentile. Many people have discovered that they have a Jewish ancestor that they didn't know existed. The question they now face is, now that I know, what do I do with the information? This is really a fascinating topic to discuss from a sociological point of view. Can someone become Jewish just because they discovered that they had a Jewish grandmother or great-grandmother who was alive somewhere in a distant country or even in the same neighborhood, or an ancestor who may have been a prominent rabbi in the 16th century? It begs the question, what makes a Jew a Jew? Back in the 1970s, when women finally became rabbis and the question of patrilineal or matrilineal descent became a topic to discuss, life was a lot simpler. You couldn't find out if your family tree had a Jewish branch as easily as you can today. And back in the 1970s, the intermarriage rate was much lower than it is today, and the people who converted did so in order to create a single religious household. No one discovered that they were Jewish and decided to take things a step further. So do we welcome these newly discovered Jews as authentic Jews? Or do we suggest that they go through the conversion process if they want to live as a Jew? Can you be Jewish genetically in the same way as you can be Jewish simply by being born into a Jewish family? The rabbis of 40 and 50 years ago never dreamed that this phenomenon could occur, but here it is. Like any other person who comes to me seeking the opportunity to learn more about Judaism, I welcome these travelers with the same warmth and kindness I would if they never discovered a long-lost relative. I believe that being Jewish by birth is the luck of the draw. And just because you were born Jewish doesn't mean that you are living a Jewish life. So many Jewish people, according to the latest Pew study, call themselves secular Jews or non-practicing Jews, Jews in name only. They almost never walk into a synagogue or take part in congregational life. Some rabbis call them lost Jews. But this new group of people who have found a connection to their past can be a welcome change to the Jews who were simply born into their faith and live their Jewish lives in name only. And these newly converted Jewish people who are embracing their past while looking toward their future are a welcome addition to our ranks. After all, in our historical perspective, we have welcomed the stranger into our midst, and primarily those strangers had little or no Jewish connection until they met and fell in love with a member of our tribe. Today, it is more than fitting to welcome the stranger who has discovered a link to their Jewish past and are making a commitment to be part of our community. And so another basic Judaism class has ended, and we have new additions to our ranks. How blessed we are. Shabbat Shalom. And now if you would please turn in your prayer books to page 371. I'll offer a prayer to those who are sick and in need of healing in our community, by singing Debbie Friedman's beautiful Misha Berach prayer. Everyone in our family and our community who are sick and in need of healing, as we say, Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, who heals the sick, and we all say, Amen. Let's rise now as we continue with Aleinu on page 586. Aleinu shebeach Adon hakol atikinu lo yotzeh breshit. We think now of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. This Shabbat, we remember the Yartsides of Lena D. Adler, Sarah Baturin Kastner, Rita Levitas Beck, Anne F. Berman, Harry Bryant, Jacob Garner, Eli Goldstein, Fran Z. Gutman, Bernice Hyman, Dolly Kraus, Jack Levy, Eileen Osofsky, Mary Sachs, Gina Steiner, Sophie Vladimirov, Philip E. Yoles. For those that have been named, or for those you may name within your own hearts, we ask you all to rise as the Mourner's Kaddish is recited on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yomad divrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei b'chol Beit Yisrael, v'galo b'zman kariv v'yimeru amen, yehesh shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam omei omaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushpachata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yalma v'yimeru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. Our closing hymn is Adon Olam on page 625. Adon Olam asher malach b'ter kol yitzir nivra ask God's blessings on all of us this Shabbat. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us a Shabbat filled with joy and rest, and a week ahead filled with good health and peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.